Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I wanted to share with you a new tactic that I've been using. And you might be thinking to yourself, Matimio, this game has been out forever. What new tactic could you possibly come up with that's going to be even remotely new or fresh and innovative? Well, many of you may have already tried this, but for me personally, I've never used the scan bolt with a silenced weapon and kind of used the stealthiness of the gun to stay off the minimap and to stay off everyone's radar, and then using the scan bolt to make it so that everyone is on my radar and then kind of methodically taking everyone out. I never even unlocked the scan bolt until I did the terrible weapon challenge video that I did a couple of days ago, and ever since then, and during the process of making that video, I came to the understanding that the scan bolt is surprisingly useful, and what I would compare it to, and while it may not be as good, is the motion balls from Battlefield Bad Company 2, those motion sensors that you could kind of toss all over the place. Those were easily one of my favorite gadgets back in that game. They gave you so much information at your fingertips, and while those would pulse and anyone that kind of moved in there would be on the minimap, this one makes it so that wherever you fire the bolt, anyone within a 10-meter radius is going to be spotted on your minimap and then have that nice little red triangle over your head. And so while you can't just throw this down in a key spot and then it will spot everyone in there, what you can do is, if you know there's a lot of nooks and crannies and you're trying to push up onto an objective or you're heading somewhere, just fire off maybe 1 or 2 bolts on your blind sides and then see if anyone's spotted, and then proceed to either go and take them out or push up onto the objective. And what's great is that it's just more information at your fingertips. I mean, having more intel and knowing where the enemy is always gonna give you an advantage. I mean, it's always going to do it. And what's great is that because they're spotted, if you know that there's someone just around a bin or just around the corner, what I was doing throughout today's video and throughout my matches was that I could hear them, but I wasn't sure where they were looking. And so I would fire a bolt just at the bin, and then it would show me exactly where they were, what direction they were facing, take advantage of that, just swoop around to the other side and take them from behind. And I would never be able to do that. I would never be able to do that if I had like a tugs. Maybe I could have done it with the MAV, fly up above, spot them from there, but that takes a significant amount of time. I have to place it on the ground. First of all, I have to find a flat surface, rise it into the air, kind of hover over the area, spot anyone that's nearby, and then switch back and play as the recon. But that entire process takes a significant amount of time, and during that time period, they could either move, someone could come up and stab me from behind, kill me, and so many different things can happen. But when you're using the scan bolt, not only do you not have to only play as a recon, but you can just, switch on over to it, fire at the location, everyone's spotted within that 10 meters, and then take advantage of that information, which is why it is so extremely useful. Now, you don't necessarily need to use the suppressor to make this tactic work, but the reasoning why I was kind of deploying it was, in my head, I wanted to get behind enemy lines and I wanted to be stealthy. And when you get back there, if you don't have the suppressor, you're probably not going to be as effective. I mean, sure, you might get a couple kills here and there once you get that initial flank off, but then people are gonna notice that you're on the minimap, they're gonna swarm you, and you're just simply not going to be as effective. But because so many people worship their minimap, they stare at that thing the entire round, if you're not showing up on it, you're gonna have a huge advantage. But not only that, when I'm back there taking advantage of the suppressor, in combination with the scan bolt, it is a deadly combination, because when you're behind enemy lines, one of the things about being back there is that the enemy is swarming all over the place. They're spawning back on their farther objectives, and they're kind of trying to move towards the front lines. And so it can get a little hairy at times where you are surrounded, but you're not exactly sure how to proceed. You're kind of in your corner, and that's where the scan bolt comes in. You fire off a couple of shots, like I said, you map out where you want to go, you realize where everyone's kind of camping out, and then proceed to take people out and then move around and methodically kill everyone. And it's amazing when it happens. And there's a lot of times when before I was deploying this tactic, where I do like to get behind enemy lines. It's very fun, it's extremely exciting, it gets my heart pumping, it's why I love first-person shooters. But one of the disadvantages of it is simply everyone is surrounding you, and it can get to the point where you just kind of have to go. You just kind of have to beeline it in a direction and leave yourself extremely exposed, and usually when you do that, you die. I mean, it's kind of like flipping a coin at that point. But when you have the scan bolt in there, it's not much of a coin flip anymore because you know that people are around. There is a couple downsides to using this, and that is that the crossbow itself can be a little weird at times, and that is it will save that you want to use a particular bolt, but every single time you spawn back in, once you switch on over to the crossbow, your soldier has to place in the new one. It doesn't like save it, it doesn't like keep it in there. He has to go through the animation real quick, and so every single time I would spawn, I would switch on over to it, and then switch on back to my primary so that when I do get into conflict, I'm ready to go, because there were some times when I would forget to do that. I would know that there was a guy kind of around the bend, and I would switch on over to my crossbow. I would go through that short animation, and during that time period, the enemy would push on me and then take me out as I'm kind of fumbling through everything. So that is a downside. It is something that you have to kind of get used to. This also occurs when you get revived. I don't know why. So even if you switched on over before you died, once you get back up and you switch back on over to your crossbow, hopefully this all makes sense, you have to go through that animation one more time. So it's kind of just some weird things that DICE did with the crossbow. I'm not sure why they did it, but it's just something you have to kind of get used to. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below in the comment section if you've ever used this tactic. Do you find it to be useful, or am I just the crazy one in the room? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.